I'm a bushcraft ninja. Okay, so maybe I'm not a bushcraft ninja and maybe these aren't weapons. I mean, I guess they could be, but they're not. They're actually rope spinners, and I'm a pretty good rope maker. So on today's video, we're gonna teach you how to take small diameter twine and make it into something more robust, AKA rope. And you're gonna learn how to make one of these things. It's an essential part of the process. It's the spinner itself. So you are going to need a nice long straight stick for this, about the size of your thumb. You don't want to get too heavy because the process of making rope itself is tedious. So you're going to wear yourself out if it's too much. So the size of your thumb is going to be about perfect. You want the stick to be somewhat straight also. If it has a lot of curves to it, it can work, but it's just not as good. So the main body of this, we're gonna want about 1.5 to 2 foot in length. And then the handle section of it, where we actually hold on, is about a thumbs up length, okay? So we want something that's comfortable with a little end on it. So next, we're gonna take our upright and we are going to split this exactly down the middle. Now, after our stick is split out, the next step is to create a hole through that split out stick in order to accept the handle stick. So to do this, we're going to cut 2 U-notches on each stick. That way, once we place the 2 halves back together, we have a hole in the middle. Now that the U-cuts are in place, we're going to take our handle stick. We're going to come in about 1 inch from the edge, and we are going to remove material, creating a knob on the end of that stick. That's going to hold that stick in place and not allow it to slide off the upright or slide back towards our hand. So now what we got is we got our handle with our little cutout on. We have our upright with our hole drilled in. Our handle spins very freely, but we need to hold this together. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some cordage and we are going to straight lash the bottom section and the top section. You just need this enough that it's held together and not opening up. That's all it really requires. Now we're all lashed up. Rope spinner's spinning nice and freely. I like to do one more thing, and that is right above the handle towards the long end, I like to put a V-notch. This is gonna hold the twine in place as we spin it. It just makes life that much easier. So you're gonna take whatever smaller diameter cords you're going to be using, as I said, jute twine here, and you're going to take your 2 ends once you decide your length. Now remember, this is going to be drastically reduced, so figure whatever you start with, you're only going to get about 1/4 of that of rope. So for demo purposes here, I don't have too long of a piece, but if you would need longer, you really got to stretch this thing out. Once you get your piece situated of how long of length you're going to want, take the 2 ends and simply just put an overhand knot in them. It's literally that simple. This is going to be the starting point. Now the second point of this, we're going to come down, even it out. We're going to have, of course, a loop. This loop needs to go around something. Now if you have a partner, your partner can just hold a stick in place like this, holding that end for you. That will work fine. If you have a small nail, you can stick that in a tree, or just simply stick your axe in a tree. You're not going to hurt the tree by doing this. Stick your axe in. Now you have somewhere that you can lash onto and have at it. And then we're going to come back to the other side. Okay, I like to, again, orientate my knot, that my knot is to the back. I'm going to slide my rope spinner over that. I'm going to utilize that V-notch we put in place, and then I'm going to begin to spin. Now when spinning this, it doesn't matter which way you start, just remember which way you're going. So for my purposes, I'm going to start clockwise, just get it started, and just start on spinning. So as I spin, I'm watching a few things. Number one, I'm watching the gap close on the end of my rope. So where the rope comes around, you'll see as it spins, that starts to close down. The second thing is I can give it a little bit of slack, and if I see that line starts to fold over on itself, I know I'm about far enough and we can move on to the next step. Now this is probably the most confusing part for most people, and that is tripling your line. So we just spun it clockwise. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come in with our line and we're going to just hold it out in front of us. So here's my rope spinner, I just grabbed out in front of me. I'm going to place that over my nail, or in my case my axe. I'm going to walk back until the 2 ends are even. Now I'm going to take that other end that's looped, I'm going to slide that over the top, and I could begin spinning again. And now that that step is done, we're going to spin the opposite way. So I was spinning clockwise, now we're going to begin to spin counterclockwise, and this is going to finish off our rope. You can see how much length we lost in this, but you will also see that we come up with some very nice rope after this process. Now, on each side of this rope, what we're going to do is we're going to just take some more of our cordage material and lash it off. And now what we have created is some rope. So now normally what I'll do is once this rope's done, just to give it a better finished look, lighter or campfire, it'll just burn off all those little fuzzies from the jute. And then we're left with a nice piece of rope. So with a little bit of work to make one of these rope spinners and a whole bunch of jute twine, you can really easily make something that's a little bit more robust if you're going to need it for in the field. So again, just another tool for the toolbox. I would say though, at the end of the day, that if you know you're going to be needing a lot of heavy rope for things, just carry rope along with you. But it's a good technique to know. It's fun to do. It's a great thing to work with kids because there's a lot of different skill sets involved to get to the final product. So this was Dan Wallach of Coalcracker Bushcraft. Hope you enjoyed this video. As always, check us out at coalcrackerbushcraft.com. Make some rope and stay in the woods. You didn't think I was going to do this, did you?